como vector que es, y dadas las características específicas que tiene el hidrógeno, presenta ese desafío, cómo resolver la logística, cómo hacer para que ese vector, de manera competitiva, de manera segura, pueda ser utilizado en largas cadenas logísticas para vincular esa oferta tan competitiva que puede tener nuestro país con la demanda que existe hoy y que es creciente en el mundo. Rotterdam, los Países Bajos, vienen liderando este tema en Europa, también a nivel global, y hoy vamos a tener esa posibilidad de ver qué es lo que están haciendo, y también sobre el final de la reunión, eventualmente, y eso se lo digo a todos los que nos siguen, de realizar preguntas a los que van a participar de los paneles. Quiero decirles también que en esta moderación me va a acompañar en la presentación de algunos de los oradores Darío Febré, que está aquí presente, que es un referente en términos de energía y particularmente de hidrógeno en Argentina, también con una participación muy activa en el Centro Argentino de Ingenieros. Very briefly, I'd like to say welcome to everybody to the Argentinian Engineering Center. We do have the capacity to translate here. Part of our meeting is going to be in English, so if you can follow that in that language, you are very welcome. Otherwise, if you need the translation, we will have the devices in you. Please make use of them. I'm very glad to have you here, our experts, and also I want to highlight that this is an event that we have put together with the Embassy of the Netherlands in Buenos Aires. We will have a strategic alliance for some time around some of the key possibilities for our country in terms of investing in infrastructure, in technology. And also I want to highlight that there are already some very significant projects going on between the two countries. And we do have, in the Argentinian Engineering Center some other events where we cover. So very welcome here. And I am very happy now to invite the political advisor to the Embassy in Buenos Aires, Elma Stoffelen, who is going to be giving an introductory comment as well. So, Elma, muy contenta de invitarte para que des tu bienvenida también a este evento. Please.
Gracias, Pablo. Welcome everyone. Yes, llegué hace 3 meses en Argentina, entonces, como estamos en la casa de ingenieros argentinos de Argentina, voy a intentar dar un bienvenido en español, por supuesto. Espero que todos puedan escuchar palabras con la traducción. Bueno, muy buenos días a todas y todos. Es un verdadero placer y honor darles la bienvenida en nombre de la Embajada de los Países Bajos a este evento sobre el hidrógeno y sus cadenas logísticas internacionales. Creo que es un tema súper importante para ambos países y estoy muy orgulloso que estamos trabajando aquí juntos. Bueno, vamos a hablar sobre las realidades y los desafíos en esta materia desde la perspectiva neerlandesa, también con invitados de Holanda. Ante todo, quiero también agradecer al Centro Argentino de Ingenieros y al ingeniero Pablo Bereciartua por recibirnos hoy en su casa. Muchas gracias. Y también gracias a los oradores que han viajado de muy lejos para hacer sus presentaciones y por supuesto también a los que están virtualmente con nosotros. Estamos muy felices de poder utilizar esta actividad donde discutirán temas muy relevantes para ambos países y para la agenda de transición energética global. Les deseo una exitosa exitosa o nada y los dejo en las manos de los verdaderos expertos. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Elma. Damos inicio con el primer expositor, que es Erik van Heijden. Él es el responsable de los proyectos de gran escala de hidrógeno en el puerto de Rotterdam y nos va a estar compartiendo cuáles son estos proyectos y también cómo podemos entenderlos en relación a las posibilidades para la Argentina. Erik, please.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks to the Dutch Embassy and for the Argentinian Association of Engineers for hosting us here. For me, it's the second time I'm here in Argentina. I was already here last year, and it's already clear that we have a huge potential for hydrogen here in this country. And also good to see that there's so many companies and institutions also see this and are working on this. I think people that are here and also online that proves this. I also know that in the meantime, the government has been working on a national strategy for hydrogen, which also the potential of export of hydrogen is really envisaged. For us at the Port of Rotterdam, that is very important. I'll tell you later more about this. Yeah, I'm really happy to look for where we can help each other forward. Let me. I think this is one presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we at the Port of Rotterdam, we're working very hard to become Rotterdam's hydrogen hub. Hydrogen is very important for our future. I'm working as business manager of hydrogen in the Port of Rotterdam. Port of Rotterdam is the biggest harbor and also the biggest industrial cluster of Rotterdam, representing more than 3,000 companies, not serving only the Netherlands, but also the hinterland, mainly also to Germany. What also I wanted to tell that Rotterdam is a private entity with public shareholders. 30% is owned by the state, Netherlands, and 70% is from the city, it's from the city of Rotterdam, but we have the complete governance of the whole of the port, which makes it very very infrastructure governance, the whole infrastructure of the port, which is very important in the approach. Next slide, please. Here's some more facts about please. Yeah, already stated something here from the facts about the Port of Rotterdam, big industrial area in the Netherlands. We are actually a big energy port, as we have 3 of the biggest oil refineries in Europe, and around that big energy cluster, also the petrochemical cluster, which is mainly based also on the use of fossil energy currently. 30% of all the energy consumed in Europe goes to our ports. So mainly it goes also to Germany. But there also have the challenge that currently it is all based on fossil fuel, and this needs to change. That the renewables emission hydrogen is a very important part of it. Luckily, we see already some things moving in energy transition. We have already new biofuel refineries, and currently we also have about 500,000 tons of hydrogen, which reduces now, but which is currently gray hydrogen, so it's basically fossil fuel. Next slide, please. Yeah, here are the targets we have for the energy transition. We want to be completely CO2 neutral in 2050 and really have a reduction of CO2 of 55% in 2030, which is in line with the Paris agreements. We focus on that not only as our equity report itself, but the whole industrial cluster, also all the components inside our ports. And we do that by focusing on 4 pillars. One is efficiency and infrastructure, and also new infrastructure for the energy transition. Second one is a new energy transition, where we think we move from what's currently based on fossil fuels to electricity and hydrogen, so electrons and molecules. But apart from the energy production, there's also a lot of fossil fuels currently used for the chemical industry. So also this fossil entities used as a feedstock need to change, where also hydrogen plays an important role in. And the fourth part is sustainable transport. And where we talk about all the transport, not only the ships, but also the truck and the trains, but all the transport in and to our ports. Next slide. Yeah, I noticed now that this presentation missed some slides. Doesn't matter, I will send you the slide deck that I have later to you. I included a lot more examples of what's happening in our ports that I want to show to you as well. So that you can see in the slide deck that will send to you later. I will explain the focus of the strategy of the Port of Rotterdam, and later we'll go to some examples that we have. Here you see what the ecosystem of the hydrogen in the Port of Rotterdam, which is mainly run on three pillars. One is the local production of hydrogen, which we need to, let's say, to kickstart it all. We have in the North Sea quite good conditions for offshore wind, which we want to use to produce already green hydrogen. And we have already some companies in the port that are currently using grey hydrogen, like maybe oil refineries, and they want already to get to use green hydrogen as soon as possible. Secondly, we're working on infrastructure to transport this hydrogen throughout our ports for the areas where we are going to produce the green hydrogen all the way to our ports. And this will be later be connected to the whole transportation network of hydrogen throughout the Netherlands, and also be connected on the international hydrogen network, mainly also to Germany, which is currently, let's say, the biggest area that we serve on the Port of Rotterdam. And the third pillar, and most was also the future imports of hydrogen. Also serving this hydrogen connection, the hydrogen infrastructure that we have will also be connected to import terminals that can in the future use to import hydrogen from all over the world. Which is also different, and of course we are importing a lot of fossil fuels, which will then transform to hydrogen in the future. And as you can see the graph, on top we did some estimations based on the current energy that's currently used and goes through our ports. Then we envisage part of it to be taken over by direct gasification, but a big part will be served by hydrogen or hydrogen derivatives. And we came to an estimation that we will be needing 20 million tons of hydrogen or hydrogen equivalent in 2050. When we look at what's possibly possible at creating ourselves, then we come to only 2 million tons of hydrogen, which is linked to 20 gigawatts of wind. That's actually a limitation that we have not only in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands, but some of our facilities simply don't have enough space and possibilities to produce a lot of green electricity ourselves, also produce hydrogen, so that's why we need imports. So in the future, 90% of the hydrogen that we need actually comes from imports. Next slide, please. Here you see some numbers about that. EU, they set a target already that they need 20 million tons of hydrogen in all of EU in 2030. Out of 10 million tons is imports and 10 million tons is local production. From the local production, with the plans we have, we think we can come up to 0.6 million tons of production of green and blue hydrogen. But those imports, as Rotterdam is made up for that, we think that 40% of 4 million tons of hydrogen needs to be imported already in 2030. Next slide, please. Here you can see this is all fueled by the offshore winds that we have in the North Sea, in the Netherlands. Some of it is already under construction. We plan to have 20 gigawatts of offshore wind park ready in 2030. Out of which 7 gigawatts will land at Rotterdam, at our port, where we simply have to load extensive grids. Because currently there are also some coal-fired plants there, and we are, let's say, one of the most places where you can easy access to grid cables. Very important that we need this green electricity to decarbonize our port, and also that it probably will be too much electricity to transport all over the grid. Part of it needs to be transferred into hydrogen already directly off the shore, so in our ports, in order to purify it, that it doesn't need to be put all on the grid. Yeah, here is an example that I want to give you specifically for the hydrogen conversion park that we're currently building. We already had some parties that already came through 4 years ago to us, which are companies like Shell, BP, and Erik, companies that have already footprint in the port of Rotterdam. They're already using hydrogen, and they wanted to invest in green hydrogen production. As I said, only problem is that this requires huge investments in infrastructure and automation. And quite only get the conclusion they could not do it on their own premises. That's why we created a so-called hydrogen conversion park. Location at the Maasvlakte, so close where all the wind lines come on shore. But what if we bring all these opportunities there together, that they can share the infrastructure? So we have multiple locations of electrolyzers, in this case up to 1 gigawatt. They can share the infrastructure, can have one high voltage cable to connect to the grids, one central backbone, and one central connection for dam water. And this turns out to be very successful, because in this case we could de-risk the whole project. And for us, for the hydrogen backbone, it was better that we could earlier take FID for that, knowing that in the future we will have multiple applications. Next to that, there's another interesting project I want to mention. That's called Uniper. They currently have a coal-fired plant that they operate in the Netherlands. By government regulation, it's told that they have to shut down in 2030 the use of coal, so they all need to make new plants. And for them, as they have already a site where there is a connection to the grid, but they, for instance, already have also cooling, that's of course for them also a very good location to transform that into hydrogen production location as well. That's what we support. Next slide, please. And it moves on. So you see again the number of the projects that are planned to do on here. Shell already took FID for their electrolyzer, 200 megawatts already last year. And the other 3 are planned to take FID in the next year. LSPT is moving on. We have the first conversion part, but we have more investment upcoming. So we're working on the second side at the market for the second conversion part. Next slide, please. And here you see a visualization of the electrolyzer that Shell is going to build. 200 megawatts electrolyzer. Construction is already started, and I think around 2025, and it's ready to be the biggest electrolyzer in Europe at that point in time. And we're very actually happy with that Shell. Shell is actually one of the biggest parties in our board. Only a big refinery took this step because they are really. They kick off all the hydrogen activities, also including the backbone. So they're really like a launching partner that you need for these activities. And that's to say that, Shell is figuring out a net, because already we know there will be lots of future hydrogen offtake, which is also effective for them. The market is not ready yet. Nobody knows what the prices will be. Nobody knows what the offtake use will be. So it's good that some parties are, let's say, the front runners come up with these kind of investments. Next slide, please. And here you see the whole hydrogen conversion part as I just envisaged, and let's explain to you how it will look like around 2028-29. When it's ready to where you see the upfront corner, you see the Shell refinery, which you see in total 4 electrolyzers. In the bottom right corner, there will be a AC and DC connection, or connection from an offshore wind park that's all connected there to the grid, for which we also build a dedicated substation. And we even incorporated here the possibility to use the weighted heat of the electrolyzers that we can use also then to use a different location outdoors for heating buildings, even the horticulture environment. Next slide, please. Yeah, and here we have also a visualization for the next conversion part that we are going to plan. And in the top right corner, yeah, it looks here at some simple boxes. But these are the new high voltage stations that the tenant is building in the Netherlands to support all the initiatives. And also the landing of this offshore wind park that I just showed you. You can see here that we are, of course, we will, very mixed forms. And there's also will be in the middle also of areas that will be for container business. So very. Next slide, please. Yeah, now focusing on exports. As I said, apart from the local production, for which I showed you examples here, for us the import of hydrogen is very important. For which, where does it have to come from locations all over the world, and these are more or less the locations where the future access of solar and wind, which we can for exports. Of course, okay, first we want to do the domestic demand of hydrogen, but in the future that can be exported. And also, of course, for Argentina as well, the potential is also there. We as a port, we are proactively reaching out to multiple of these locations, where we talk to the governments, we sometimes talk to port operators for export, but also future producers of green hydrogen. Where we also, some of them have also either stated MOUs, where we say, hey, what can we do to help to also to kickstart the developments from one side of the water, to start this trade corridor of hydrogen, because it's very important. Also, what needs to be said is that we are also part of state-owned company as a port of Rotterdam, and for our national government, also what we call export diplomacy is very important. We learned from the past that we don't want to be dependent on one or a few countries in the future for the future use of hydrogen. So that's why we try to diversify as much as possible and have this future supply corridors as much as countries as possible over the world. And it's also with like development components that you can join to develop also infrastructure. And this hydrogen, to the export of hydrogen, this will be done in a lot of different modalities. The most common that people usually talk about is ammonia, and that's mainly because of that existing ships for that. You have existing storage facilities for that. So a lot of people think that is the most better to use that in the first part. But there's also talked about ammonia, like methanol, also CO2, make methanol. But in the further future, also liquid hydrogen and liquid organic hydrogen carriers. There's all different means to transport hydrogen all over the globe. Next slide, please. For us, at Port of Rotterdam, looking at the challenge that's so big, let's say more to say we bet on all horses. So we want to have import facilities for all these modalities. Currently, mainly focused on green ammonia. But I think also we work on liquid hydrogen terminals, terminals for methanol, which are already existing, and also LHC, and even for powders. Next slide, please. We have, of course, in fact, we have a big ecosystem in ports. So we have multiple in and export terminals, currently mainly used on all kind of liquid both fossil fuels, but all of them are working and in a transition or the new facilities also be ready to use to receive ammonia and other derivatives. And even one of them, which is OCI, it's already existing ammonia terminal that we have imported. Of course, based on greater ammonia, more or less, which is imported for the fertilizer industry. But it proves that we are already doing importing hydrogen and export for many years. So we know that it can be done safely, but it's a lot of future investments need to be done in the future. Next slide, please. Now, one important aspect of that is also the cracking of ammonia. We know huge volumes will be come to the port in the form of ammonia. Some of them will be used as ammonia directly. People are talking about Germany, are talking mainly to use ammonia directly in power plants, but also ammonia as a bunker fuel is more and more focused on. But we know main part will have to be tracked. This is existing technology, only on smaller scale. Some of the terminals are really working on having ammonia crackers on their own premises. But we said at the port, look at the challenge, let's also do an investigation. If you can get all coming together, maybe we need to invest in a very large open access ammonia cracker that local terminals can use. So that's one of the initiatives we currently also working on. To have maybe possibly a big open access hydrogen cracker. Next slide, please. Yeah, here's an overview of, let's say, all the hydrogen initiatives we have in our ports, which will be a lot of hydrogen terminals, local production of green hydrogen. We also have some parties that want to build electrolyzers in our ports. One of them is called Bettalyzer, an innovative Dutch party. And of course, all kinds of infrastructure to support hydrogen. Also something to mention is some hydrogen fueling stations. Also the trucking, we think that hydrogen will still play also an important role for decarbonizing trucks. We're mainly getting on electricity electric trucks and hydrogen fuel trucks, mainly looking at the weight and the long distance also. Hydrogen will be used also for mobility. Next slide. Yeah, and also the infrastructure is a very important part. We start with the hydrogen backbone in our ports, the first 4 kilometers. FID for that has already been taken to be built by Sophie, what Joost de Ruijter will later also. That's the construction had started actually last Friday. That was a big inauguration done by also by our team. So which will be the first part of the complete hydrogen network in the Netherlands, which will then be later also connected to international hydrogen backbone, and in our case mainly with the connection also to Germany and also Germany. Next slide, please. So for us, what's necessary to make this happen? Of course, permitting, faster hydrogen permitting is very important. Also, things like ammonia and hydrogen, they're not new, but they're on different scale. So also it's very important to do that in a proper way, but not in a way that it slows down usage. Certification is important. Already know the EU has quite strict regulation in what we call green hydrogen import here. That's quite complex regulations, which are still not 100% clear. But it's important also for in your case that it becomes clear quite quickly. What this means for your project is important for hydrogen to Europe. Yeah, it's stimulation of local demand, parallel development of infrastructure in a public and private partnership. Very important. And the public part of it is also very important because there is, of course, a financial run-up risk. So pre-investment need to be done, although we don't know for sure 100% who will be the users of infrastructure. And for that, it's important that the government also steps in to support that, as they also did in the Netherlands. And not important the social acceptance of all the new energy carriers. Next slide. Yeah, we think in the port of Rotterdam we want to go all in 4.6 million ton of hydrogen into Turkey, about it 4 but the first projects are already being built. So we see a lot of that things are already happening. Yeah, as I said, I have some more pictures and slides of things I want to show you, which is in the slide deck that I will send to you later. You're always welcome to come to Rotterdam if you have the chance. You can see that really things are happening in that airport. What we have mentioned is in May we will have the World Hydrogen Congress in Rotterdam, which is one of the biggest conferences in the world. So all of you are invited to come there next year. And then I think we'll be the last slide. This one we can skip. Here already I want to show you it's already happening. I have to admit there's already an outdated slide because the first part it's already moving a bit more forward. So in the meantime, you can already see the shapes of an electrolyzer there. And in the meantime, you see there the pipes for hydrogen network, and since last Friday we started construction. Yeah, and more will be get developed soon. So this was the last slide of my presentation. I have no idea how I did time, but hopefully there is still some room for questions. Okay.
So you will have the chance to make all the questions you want to break at the last part of the session, starting around 11 p.m. And thanks, Erik, for your kind presentation. It's impressive to see what Rotterdam is doing to convert themselves into the European hub of hydrogen. Now I'm going to introduce Joost de Ruijter. Joost, I will introduce you in Spanish. I think you are connected now. Yes, you're there. Joost is business developer de importaciones de hidrógeno en Gasmi, el operador de la red de gas de los Países Bajos. Actualmente tiene la responsabilidad del desarrollo comercial de la terminal ACE y de la infraestructura de importación de hidrógeno del norte de los Países Bajos. Just I understand that we have first a video that will introduce you and then we start with our presentation. Thanks.
Yes, gracias.
Hagamos el video, ¿verdad?
Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can hear me now. I have no audio. You can hear me?
Yes.
Now I can hear you as well. Buenos días a todos. No hablo español, so I will continue in English, if it's okay for you. My name is Joost de Ruijter. I'm working for GasUnie. GasUnie is the Dutch natural gas transmission system operator. And besides the transport of natural gas, we are now also transforming our company into a hydrogen company. And I will present you ACE terminal with some slides, and I will now share my screen. Okay, I hope you still can hear me. So, as said, I'm working for GasUnie as a hydrogen import business developer, and I'm focusing on the creation of hydrogen import facilities in the Dutch and German harbors. And one of the projects we are working on is ACE Terminal. And ACE Terminal is a joint venture with 3 different companies. So GasUnie, where I'm working for, HES International and Vopak. And I will explain you a little bit more about the creation of ACE Terminal on the next slide. So you see in the green circle, you see 2 existing tanks. Those 2 tanks are currently in use by GasUnie for the storage of LNG, liquefied natural gas. But that function is not needed anymore within 1 or 2 years. So we did an examination, how could we repurpose those 2 existing tanks in the energy transition. And that study concluded that those LNG tanks are perfectly suitable to store ammonia. But as you can also see, to become an ammonia import terminal, we need access to the sea. And as you can see, GasUnie, we own the small square land plot, but we have no access to the sea. So that's we contacted HES International. HES International is the company that owns the land all around us. You see the white, but actually it's black, it's coal, and they store coal. And as you also can imagine, that will be phased out. Burning coal, fossil fuels, that will change. So we asked HES, are you willing to join the project? It serves 2 purposes. We will have additional land for expansion, and we will have the quayside available, so we can import ammonia by ships. So that's why HES International joined the joint venture. The third party is Vopak. Vopak is an operator of terminals, and already quite some years, Vopak and GasUnie working together, for example, import facilities for natural gas, LNG. And Vopak already owns and operates 6 ammonia terminals worldwide. So their knowledge is very important. So the 3 of us, Vopak with their knowledge, HES International with the land available, and GasUnie with our existing infrastructure, the combination was perfect to establish ACE Terminal. So about ACE Terminal. ACE Terminal is an open access ammonia import facility. That means we won't build the terminal for 1 or 2 customers, but we will build it for multiple customers. And we are only a service provider. So we will build the infrastructure, we will operate it, but we will never buy or sell the molecules. So we will not trade. We are just a service provider. And next to the storage facilities, we will also provide the cracking equipment. And the cracking equipment, as already mentioned and explained by Erik, is very important to crack down ammonia back into hydrogen. And the terminal in the end will have a connection to the hydrogen infrastructure that Gasunie is currently constructing. But we will not only have a connection via the pipelines for hydrogen, we will also support the throughput of ammonia. So ammonia in by big vessels, and then we can reload it into smaller vessels or barges, for example, to transport the ammonia to the hinterland in Germany, for example. This terminal will have two phases. We will start with the two existing tanks. As you can imagine, those tanks are already there. We have a very simple change of the permits. So we expect to be in operation already in 2026. So that will be phase one. In phase two, we will expand the storage capacity up to 400,000 cubic meters of storage capacity. And phase two also will have the cracking facilities in place. Phase two is, at this moment, we expect phase two will be ready as per 2028. And as you can imagine, we will not immediately build the full capacity. We will gradually increase the storage capacity, and we will also increase the cracking capacity. So the two phases again. Phase one, it's quite simple. Two existing tanks. We will have one berth for MGC size vessels. We will have, based on the two existing tanks, a storage capacity of 67,000 cubic meters. And it's an ammonia only facility. And ammonia only means that we focus for phase one on existing ammonia players. And ammonia now is used predominantly in the fertilizer industry and the chemical industry. So those companies currently produce their own ammonia based on natural gas. So it's very carbon intensive. And it's a very low-hanging fruit to exchange that gray ammonia by green imported ammonia, for example, from the Latin American countries. In phase two, we have the additional capacity for the storage of ammonia, but also the cracking. That means that the focus for phase two will be mainly on the hydrogen off-takers. But still then, we will still expect that roughly 25% of the incoming ammonia will not be cracked, but will also be used as ammonia as a feedstock. So for an import terminal, as very well explained by Erik already, it is very important that we have sufficient connections with the market. And that's why Gasunie is working on a hydrogen network. And each terminal will have, of course, a connection to that hydrogen network. And the first part of that hydrogen network will be in the Rotterdam area, in the harbor area. I already explained last week, the official start of that work has been inaugurated by our king, including our Minister of Climate. And that first part of the hydrogen network will be ready in 2025. For the future, we also investigating the option for an ammonia pipeline. So especially for those that are in need of ammonia as an end product, then there are some plans now that there will be an ammonia pipeline from the Rotterdam area up until to Germany. So about the hydrogen pipeline, it will also be a phased approach. So Gasunie has now just started the works in the Rotterdam area, but also we will connect the other harbors, the harbor of Amsterdam, the harbor in Zeeland, and in the north of the Netherlands will be connected to the hydrogen backbone. And then in the next phase, there will be a connection from Rotterdam to Germany. And the third phase, we will even have offshore hydrogen pipelines connecting the offshore wind farms that will produce hydrogen at sea. And we will transport the hydrogen from sea to shore. And in the end, 2030 and later, this will be the full network operated by Gasunie. So you see, not only in the Netherlands, but also parts of Germany will all be connected. And with this network, we can reach all the industrials that will need hydrogen as either their feedstock or their energy source. And well, already explained by Erik, there are already some FIDs taken in the hydrogen infrastructure, and the same applies for Gasunie. We took the FID for the hydrogen network, and last week we officially started the works. And you see all the pipelines on the left, and on the right you see our CEO and the King of the Netherlands and the Minister of Climate officially start the works for the hydrogen network. So we are really prepared for importing all the flows of clean hydrogen from all over the world. We are able to import it in our ACE terminal. We're able to crack down the ammonia into hydrogen, and we can transport the hydrogen all the way up to the end customers. That was my last slide. Thank you very much.
Just for your presentation, I think that now you can hear us. We could hear you very well, so don't worry. The messages were delivered pretty well. So thanks again for your participation. Please start, keep connected, stay connected for the Q&A session that will start in some more minutes. Now it's the turn for Dan Vos and Soledad Gerónimo. We'll introduce them in 5. Dan es Senior Consultant de Port Consultant Rotterdam, cuenta con un amplio conocimiento del impacto de la transición energética en puertos, terminales, el transporte marítimo, trabaja en estrategias de descarbonización y políticas sustentables, hidrógeno verde, combustibles alternativos y el desarrollo de puertos y terminales. Una gran experiencia en este tema. Y Soledad Gerónimo, que la tenemos cerca nuestro. Soledad es Project Manager de Port Consultants Rotterdam, se encuentra liderando el estudio sobre cadenas de suministro de hidrógeno verde y otros vectores energéticos a nivel global, y el análisis de costos de los mismos, cosa fundamental para poder llevar el hidrógeno a la terminal que está desarrollando Joost, y lo digo al principio. Así que lo dejo. Recuerden que después de esta presentación va a ir la sesión de preguntas y respuestas. A los que están conectados vía Zoom les pedimos que pongan sus preguntas en el chat, y los que están aquí, bueno, levantar las manos y les sacaremos el micrófono. Gracias.
Buenos días a todos. Queríamos agradecer a la Embajada de Países Bajos y a Heijden por darnos su casa, darlos hoy. Bueno, hoy venimos a traer con Dan principalmente el estudio que hemos realizado, como bien les comentó, el estudio que hemos realizado sobre cadenas logísticas de hidrógeno a nivel global, y luego las oportunidades y desafíos que tenemos principalmente en el. Bueno, esta es la tabla de contenidos para nuestra presentación. En principio vamos a contarles un poco sobre nuestra consultora, comentarles un poco acerca de la cadena logística del hidrógeno, verde principalmente, contarles un poco a grandes rasgos nuestro modelo logístico de costos que hemos realizado, algunas conclusiones a las que hemos abordado, y para finalizar, Dan va a estar presentando acerca de las actividades desafíos en Argentina. Bueno, para comenzar, queríamos contarle un poco qué es lo que estamos haciendo nosotros. Somos una consultora independiente, por Consultants Rotterdam. Nuestro headquarters se encuentra en Rotterdam y tenemos oficinas en Buenos Aires. Somos un equipo pequeño de expertos, a la cual nos abocamos principalmente a proyectos a nivel internacional referidos a estrategias, planeamiento portuario, infraestructura, desarrollo logístico de puertos y terminales, y en relación a el core business principalmente es, como bien dije, puertos y terminales portuarias. Nuestros clientes son principalmente autoridades portuarias, líneas marítimas, entidades institucionales y gubernamentales. Hemos desarrollado alrededor de 500 proyectos alrededor del mundo. Y en principio los expertos tenemos alrededor de 25 años de experiencia. Nosotros abordamos todos los proyectos desde el punto de vista de qué es lo que podemos optimizar, desarrollar y transformar principalmente lo que es el desarrollo portuario. Hemos desarrollado una metodología in-house, la cual conocemos como PortScan, en la cual en unas pocas semanas nos permite realizar un diagnóstico de la situación de la terminal y poder proponer cuáles son las principales pistas para justamente alcanzar, a través del desarrollo de una estrategia portuaria, cuáles son las principales pistas para justamente desarrollar y transformar el puerto. Bueno, como les comentaba, en este slide lo que podemos observar es desde la generación de electricidad, que puede ser por fuentes renovables o no, la producción de hidrógeno, la cual llamaremos verde si hay fuentes renovables, el estadio del almacenamiento y luego los principales usos, que algunos tienen mayor nivel de maduración a nivel tecnológico y comercial y otros están en desarrollo. En esta slide lo que podemos observar es nuestro modelo, el cual estuvimos desarrollando en el último año, abarca desde la generación de energía renovable, específicamente la solar y la eólica, luego la producción de hidrógeno verde a través de electrolizadores, el transporte interno hasta la llegada a los puertos, en los terminales portuarios de exportación, el transporte marítimo hasta los terminales de importación. No tuvimos en cuenta en este estudio, al menos en esta fase, la llegada a los usuarios finales. Entonces, para resumir, esta sería nuestra cadena de hidrógeno, a la cual les voy a comentar un poco qué fue lo que estuvimos analizando. Bueno, en el cuadro de la izquierda lo que podemos observar, nosotros podemos producir hidrógeno de muchas más formas y a través de muchas fuentes, renovables y no renovables, como comentaba anteriormente. En nuestro modelo nos abocamos principalmente a la producción de hidrógeno verde a través del proceso de electrólisis y con fuentes eólica y solar principalmente. Y en el gráfico de la derecha lo que podemos observar es el verde son los potenciales países donde la generación de electricidad y la producción de hidrógeno son potenciales justamente por su recurso tanto eólico como solar. En los círculos son los principales centros de demanda, ¿sí? Que en algunos casos se van a poder autoabastecer y en otros casos, como nos comentaba Erik anteriormente, como ser en los países del norte de Europa, casi el 50% de la demanda hacia el 2050 va a tener que ser importado, ya que no tienen la capacidad de producir todo lo que van a requerir. Vamos, por favor. Desde el punto de vista de almacenamiento, esto lo voy a pasar rápido, después si tienen consultas específicas lo podemos ver. En nuestro estudio nos abocamos principalmente al estudio de almacenamiento en cuanto al amoníaco verde y también al liquid hydrogen. principalmente porque van a ser, entendemos nosotros, en un principio el amoníaco, como también comentaba Erik, es lo que se encuentra comercialmente disponible hoy por hoy, y el hidrógeno líquido también, pero bueno, obviamente se están generando, realizando distintos estudios para poder implementarlo en el 2050. Y desde el punto de vista de los componentes que nosotros llamamos componentes tanto de terminales como de plantas de conversión del vector energético que vamos a transportar o a exportar, también tomamos costos iguales para todos los países que estudiamos en nuestro modelo, ya que consideramos que estos costos no deberían tener muchas diferencias entre unos y otros. De todas maneras, hicimos un estudio de todo lo que se necesita para tanto importar como para exportar, para poder contemplarlo en el mundo. Y finalmente, el estudio también contiene no solamente el transporte interno, a lo que llamamos transporte interno es desde la generación de electricidad y producción de hidrógeno y el transporte justamente hasta nuestros puertos de exportación, en el cual consideramos los costos de transportar a través de ductos, a través de camiones o mismo a través de la red eléctrica. Y por otro lado, en lo que tratamos como transporte marítimo, contemplamos dos alternativas de costos. Una es a través de la amoníaco, cuando ya hay infraestructura comercialmente disponible de buques, y por otro lado, el estudio de potenciales buques deben construirse respecto a hidrógeno líquido. Bueno, a grandes rasgos las conclusiones a las que llegamos luego de este estudio es que Argentina y muchos países de América del Sur tienen mucho potencial en cuanto a recursos eólico y solar. Esto, la producción de hidrógeno verde, representan casi el 50% del costo total de la cadena de abastecimiento de hidrógeno, con lo cual nos da un potencial muy grande y nos ubica en posiciones muy relevantes frente a otros países. Por otro lado, el transporte interno, lo que aprendimos es que este transporte interno tiene que ser lo más corto posible y las distancias deberían ser lo más cortas posible, de las cuales las plantas de producción de hidrógeno deberán estar cercanas a nuestros puertos de exportación. El transporte marítimo, si bien uno puede pensar que por las distancias que manejamos, por ejemplo, entre Argentina y el puerto de Rotterdam, son extensas, el transporte marítimo tiene una relevancia menor si la comparamos frente a otros costos, es alrededor de entre un 5 y un 8% del costo de la cadena total de abastecimiento. Sí tienen relevancia los costos de terminales y plantas de conversión del vector energético que lleguemos a exportar, puede ser amoníaco o Erik anteriormente. Bueno, en la próxima slide, Erik les va a estar contando acerca de las oportunidades y los desafíos que tenemos.
Thank you, Soledad. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. We have a full audience. Thank you for challenging these weather conditions, because I heard that rain is exceptional here, but it's a good sign because it illustrates, let's say, the importance of the topic green hydrogen. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the opportunities and challenges. We just went on a trade mission organized by the government to visit some potential projects in Chile, or specifically in the area of Magallanes. And then bring across some lessons learned or some observations that we had in Chile that maybe help the developments in Argentina. But let's take a look at the current opportunities that Argentina has. I'm sure many of you have already seen these type of heat maps, which indicate firstly the weather climate the huge amount of solar radiation in certain parts of South America, specifically in the mid-western part. And the map on the right side illustrates the wind conditions in the continent. There you can see that especially in the south, the wind conditions are extremely well within the production of cost-effective green hydrogen. That's very important aspect to mention, because that's where the opportunity are. And the third image on the right side indicates where the potential projects developing for producing green hydrogen from the structure. It's clear that especially in the southern parts, there's a focus on wind turbines. The wind turbines bring electricity from wind electricity to produce green hydrogen with electrolyzers. Northern regions that high solar radiation, so it's clear that solar has best opportunities. But yeah, based on the national hydrogen strategy that was recently published by Argentina, the focus is mostly on wind energy, and the highest potential. Next slide, please. Now, this is a chart that I took from the hydrogen strategy. It indicates the ambitions on green hydrogen export. The target is to start exporting in 2030 with 300,000 tons of green hydrogen, growing gradually in 2040 to 1.5 million tons and 4 million tons of green hydrogen. This is export. There's also a domestic market, but it is considered smaller. It's about 1 million tons in 2050. So these are the targets of the green hydrogen strategy of Argentina, and that also indicates the opportunity. Next slide, please. But before we are there, before Argentina, huge infrastructural projects need to be built. About 30 gigawatts of electrolysis capacity, which means 55 gigawatts of renewable electricity generation. That means that the current renewable generation should be multiplied by 11, and the total current electricity generation will be doubled. Then focus will be on wind in the southern part and solar in the northern part. In addition to that, the strategy also talks about pink hydrogen, which is energy, hydrogen produced with biomass, blue hydrogen, which is natural gas, carbon capture, and hydrogen produced by hydropower. But again, yeah, this is going to have a huge impact. That means you have to manage this in a good way. Next slide. This is some of the challenges that we identified in Chile during the trade mission. Of course, we just showed the export targets, but again, before you can achieve exports, you have to build this infrastructure, and that means you have to import a lot of project parts, such as turbine blades, turbine parts, electrolyzers, part for desalination blades, etc. This means there are much challenges, and show them here, which are all revolving around time, but they also time schedule, needed and time. Yes, okay, thank you. One back, please. Yes, okay. Now, some of the challenges, and these are just some random but important challenges, are the creation of policies around developing forests, developing wind farms, developing industrial development certification of green hydrogen. The challenge is providing incentives for starting up the production of green hydrogen. But that need to be permitted, so permits are a challenge. Domestic markets need to be identified, and finally, export markets need to be developed. Next slide, please. Now, the lessons learned in Chile is basically from a port ecosystem perspective. Is that this transition should be managed. That means that ports or local governments should act as professional development companies. And I think we saw some good examples that Rotterdam already gave. How you can build sustainable ecosystems in ports. That means you should have a clear view on land ownership structures, create development policies, and these would all come together in a master plan. Now, with such a master plan, you can start creating shared infrastructure, such as connecting roads, pipelines, power distribution networks, and again also port ecosystems. And within the port ecosystems, you get, for example, develop shared infrastructure such as desalination plants. Now, from the port's perspective, we think that the port should be well organized and should create synergy. And synergy, in our view, goes hand in hand with the development, efficient development required. Such as storage and handling facilities. We have seen the example of the Hidrógeno that knows what the but also production plants can be located within the port infrastructure. We mentioned the desalination plant. One slide, please. Thank you. But furthermore, also the creation of clusters. Presented part of the strategy for and various centers. Innovation centers, and one other topic that was not raised are creation of trade zones to lubricate the trade and also the imports and development of production plants. Now, altogether again, according to the hydrogen strategy, this requires $90 billion of investments. And in order to mobilize these investments, we think that the lessons learned from Chile would definitely help in creating an attractive and sustainable investment opportunity. So in our view, ports can definitely contribute to creating this attractive investment opportunity and thereby helping to unlock the enormous potential of Argentina. So finally, I'd like to end this presentation with just a little highlight of the opportunities, again taken from the national hydrogen strategy. Starting with the costs of hydrogen, which are, of course, the key figure. These are one of the, or can be one of the lowest in the world, reaching $1.4 per kilogram. The total production, targeted production, 5 million tons, annual base, 4 million tons for export purposes. One of them is preparing to receive this green hydrogen. So that's a huge opportunity, and also the creation of jobs. So again, some lessons learned, some great opportunities, but also great challenges still to be overcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Gracias, Soledad. Ahora vamos a empezar con preguntas y respuestas. Van a hacerlo en inglés, en español, traducción. Si alguien tiene aquí alguna pregunta. No, arranco con una que me hicieron ahora. Te pasan el micrófono.
Ay, qué suerte, cerca. En caso de generar hidrógeno en un lugar que tiene sol, pero casi no tiene viento, ¿qué pasa de noche?
¿Verdad? Pueden hablar desde sus micrófonos.
Buenos días. A ver, hay formas de almacenar esa energía para poder consumirla justamente cuando no hay luz solar. De todas maneras, muchas veces también la producción de hidrógeno está ligada a los momentos en que hay efectivamente generación de electricidad.
Yes. So thank you for your question. Very good question, because what happens at night? Well, next, what Soledad was explaining, there are possibilities to store the energy, but the intensity of the radiation during the day is so high that already with only producing during the day, you can have an effective business case. And this is something that is related to what is called the capacity factor of hydrogen plants. It's the same for wind. The wind is not always blowing, and it's certainly not always blowing at the same speed. You also need, for wind farms, you need to make sure that you do maintenance. So you're not always producing. Again, in wind farms, the so-called capacity factor, so the actual time that you can produce hydrogen is higher than for solar plants, but in both cases, there's an attractive business case. So even in the solar plants that are not producing any energy at night, you can still produce effectively green hydrogen.
Thank you.
That is an excellent question. Thank you so much. And actually, the answer is yes. And the engineer that did the assessment is sitting right next to you. So I guess he would be in the best position to answer the question, but he was educated on this topic as well. So yes, there has definitely been a study, and yes, ports are pretty well prepared to receive the cargo, because that is the first thing that needs to happen. Of course, you need to import the turbines and all parts of the electrolyzers and plants. So the ports are pretty well distributed, and the infrastructure is in good conditions. Some refurbishment is required, and also once the wind turbines start to become larger, then probably some extension will be required. Jetties, maybe yards, etc. But they are well positioned. And again, we think that importing the parts is going to take more efforts than eventually exporting, for example, ammonia. Because that is, well, to put it really simple, it's a simple jetty in a pipeline and start exporting. But another aspect that I would like to add It's not only the import capacity and the export capacity through jetties, for example, but the industrial development, port itself. So creating port ecosystem, I think that is something that can definitely still be looked at and well planned. I think there are big opportunities there.
Pregunta aquí.
O sea, el tema eléctrico la capacidad iónica, potencial iónico es excelente. Y la pregunta es si han analizado la localización o se podría analizar el puerto de San Antonio. Estamos hablando de unos 50 kilómetros de este emprendimiento. ¿Han estudiado la posibilidad del puerto de San Antonio? Por el otro lado, el factor de la calidad del agua para la planta de electrólisis, ¿es un tema exigente o no tanto? Y el peso en cuanto a costo, con respecto al café, digamos. Son varias preguntas. Más o menos me gustaría. Es un gran proyecto, gran potencial y está cerca del puerto, y eso puede ser. Perdón por la cantidad de preguntas.
¿Quién se anima primero? Claro.
Again, the engineer did the assessment of the port sitting over there. So I think I'm going to pass the microphone to Pablo.
Yeah. But if you want, you can explain about the dissemination plan and the importance of water.
Empiezo corto sobre el tema de San Antonio Este, o sea, también los operadores de San Antonio Este y la provincia están acá en la sala, entonces también ellos pueden responder. Básicamente, la bahía de San Antonio es una zona protegida ambientalmente que en la actualidad no permite la operación de graneles líquidos. Por ende, es una situación ambientalmente y socialmente sensible. Por eso la provincia de Río Negro ha focalizado sus principales desarrollos en la zona de Punta Colorada y no en la zona de San Antonio Este. Podría haber potencial, sí, siempre todo es posible, pero en un principio el puerto de San Antonio Este lo que tiene como gran posibilidad es la importación de carga de proyecto, sobre todo para el desarrollo de los parques de molinos eólicos, también para carga de proyectos en lo que sea electrolizadores, hardware bosch o cualquier otro elemento de conversión al vector energético requerido. Entonces es un puerto que tiene capacidad de sobra y además es el único puerto operativo que queda en la provincia de Río Negro. Entonces esa es una de las posibilidades que uno puede tener ahí en la zona. Con respecto a la exportación, es lo que les acabo de mencionar, y hay mucho más para conversar al respecto sobre estos temas. Y después, bueno, con la parte de desalinización, no sé, un poco lo que planteabas, obviamente el agua se necesita para el proceso, o sea, es totalmente esencial. Está en la matriz de costos que se presentó, está incluido parte de esos costos. Ahora no tengo exacto la figura en la cabeza, pero básicamente, no sé, Soledad, maybe you have the picture, pero básicamente en cualquier lugar donde uno le tenga que hacer la planta desalinizadora va a tener. ¿Está bien? Entonces, bueno, creo que con eso cubrimos los principales aspectos.
Hola, sí. Bueno, yo creo que puedo hablar. Hola. Bueno, perfecto. Yo creo que está bien el asunto. Tenemos algunos otros proyectos que están cerca de Puerto Madryn, pero más pequeños. Pero el otro asunto es el tema de la utilización, digamos, el factor de planta es excelente, la zona de por ese lado estaría cubierto y hay que pensar en sistemas híbridos que se pueden armar, con lo cual se puede llegar a valor del 70% por el plata. Hay combinaciones. Es un tema eléctrico, nosotros, o sea que no creo que es motivo de este detalle. Pero lo importante es que Río Negro, en particular, tiene. Aquí hay alguien de Río Negro. Sí. Entonces. Bueno, entonces podemos conversar en detalle. Muchas gracias.
Un poco también teniendo en cuenta que en Argentina los factores de viento, como decía antes, son muy altos, el factor solar también es muy bueno, siempre eso nos posiciona en un lugar importante, pero tú mencionabas muchos challenges y quisiera hacer una pregunta recogiendo un poco lo que estás diciendo, es ¿en qué tiempo crees que los países superan esos desafíos?
I don't know the number in Africa, but what I do know is because I've been involved in wind offshore in the Netherlands. Up to now, the development of onshore wind will take 10 years from inception to completion. So that means identifying the area, that's where you start, of course. Developing a plan, going through the permitting process, and within the permitting process, but this development for the Netherlands is a very important social aspect because we are a highly densely populated country. That means involvement of the local communities is key to make a successful project and to eventually get permits that you need. But altogether, for our country, 10 years is the time to develop and grow.
10 years. And moving forward on this question, you mentioned in your presentation that the target cost, let's say, of the hydrogen in Argentina would be, I wrote $1.4 per kilogram. And so, what is needed to reach this figure? Is it possible today, you think, in the near future?
But it's very interesting because just recently published the National Hydrogen Strategy, and they're doing some cost predictions there as well. And what you see is that the first hydrogen that is going to be produced is not going to cost 1.4 because you need to learn, you need to create skill, and you need innovations. So it is, let's say, an average of what the costs could reach near 2050. So that is how you should see it.
So it's 2050. And one question we have from the chat, from Hernan, talking about the developing the skills, the labor skills that you need for this type of plan. It's asking you if you can provide a pilot project and policy to develop these kind of skills locally.
I think Erik has been involved in developing the Heijden cluster. I think. So maybe Erik, you can create.
Yeah, sure. Microphone. Yeah, this is a very good question. It depends, of course, everywhere on the local situation about the labor situation. Currently in the Netherlands, because of this energy transition, we have a lack of labor in total, just for everything, for building pipelines, putting solar panels, building solar wind farms, hydrogen. So in general, what it means, you need a lot of skilled laborers, let's say technical people. So in Europe, we're highly pushing for the upcoming 10, 20 years. We need a lot of people to go to technical universities, technical high schools, and not only universities, also skilled people working with our hands. And also I think here in general, when you can say, yeah, need all knowledge, where you can start benefit from is the knowledge that currently in the oil and gas industry. There are, let's say, process technology, people that know how to build big installations, that you can build big infrastructure. That is the knowledge that you need, and I think on the third part that we can't leverage it in leverage from. But yeah, indeed, I would say also the whole, not only how the whole energy transition offers challenges, but also here your engineers, we have in relatively that all people that didn't go to university and want to learn engineering, they started always from economy or something because they like their boss, I think they could have a bright future. I think now ahead you have a very bright future if you start going to study engineering. Technology, that's very important.
Good, and let's continue with you, Erik. Someone from the chat asked us, what are the main challenges to create the international value chain of the green hydrogen? Talk about especially on the commercial side.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, there's still a lot of challenges which are addressed. Also, let's talk about certification and safety and so on. But I think the main challenge here is simply the price. That was also mentioned by Dan. We know that currently the price of the green hydrogen to produce is still very high. It's too high. But because we need to look at the economy scale before the lower price. So we're still learning. So we know that the price, the production cost we have for hydrogen in the coming year, even up to 2030, will not be, let's say, the final price, the commercial market price that we get. But on the other hand, we know already that we will be needing of import hydrogen before 2030, but also potential off-takers. They also not sure what is the price to pay for. They're all aware at the beginning you have to pay a premium. Importing green hydrogen seems to be more expensive than the alternatives that you have. So they're aware they have to pay a premium. That's why also you need all kind of subsidy instruments and support from government entities to really push this initiative. But that's not enough. You need also parties that are aware and are willing to really invest. On the long term, we know there will be worldwide a lot of potential producers and a lot of potential for users. So it's been for long term, like there's now a transparent market for oil and also for LNG, that also for a while. There will be a transparent market for hydrogen, where also everybody can benefit from. But this will be maybe not be there in 2030, will be already in 2030, 2035. This will exist. Means beforehand, it's a different situation. Did you have like the chicken and egg situation? Who had been first, the producer or the operator? And that's the game we're currently in. And in general, what you can see, the parties that are early moving earliest are the ones that say, hey, I want to be a player in the game. So I know those uncertainties. I cannot wait till all uncertainties are solved. I want to act now. So this is like in the Shell refinery, we have also project worldwide, like for instance in Saudi Arabia, they don't have a lack of money there yet, so that they started building an electrolyzer 2 gigawatts. Also don't know who will be the final off-taker yet. So yeah, what does that mean? Demand developing. We need to accomplish in the long term, but for short term, I think it's important that also some projects, start up, although you're not, let's say, competitive, you need to learn, and you also need to be like a player in this game. And I think that's also important for Argentina. Not that they to wait till the market established. Really try to have some early projects that really be like early movers and learn and pushing the forefront.
And talking about this international logistics or value chain and all the challenges that we have talked about, how do you see the evolution of local hubs in the countries to move forward on the hydrogen value chain and export the final products, not just the carrier, the green ammonia that we were talking about, but exporting directly fertilizers and other kind of products based on hydrogen. How do you see this trend in the near future?
Yeah, it's at all very important to look at wherever for the local consumption of hydrogen, also to kickstart and to get your hydrogen markets that you not only have export but actual local consumption. But it's also very important for your for decarbonization. Looking at, we're talking about exporting of hydrogen, but I think you can also use what is like the added value you can add if you export hydrogen because exporting, let's say, a resource. But if you want to have access to global CO2 you can make, so it's like you can use methanol, which you also can export. It's like more high-end products that you also use in the chemical industry. Also, in Europe, all the hydrogen used by using for e-fuels, synthetic fuels. You have also quite a big industry here, so why not focus on producing e-fuels and synthetic fuels here and export that? Only let's say one resource that you can actually. The most ultimate example I can give is, for instance, Oman, that's also a country is a focus on export of hydrogen. They have said, well, we know that all the hydrogen we use for fuel production in Europe. Why don't we produce also the fuel locally? So they're also investing, they're talking about huge investments. So they said, well, if we use also fuel investments right now, we can start exporting green steel. And that's in the end what's needed. So also the German car industry said, well, yeah, all the initiative in getting green steel, as long as the market price, we don't necessarily need to build it ourselves in Europe. So that is really also a good chance. It will be part of your hydrogen, not focusing purely export, but how can we really develop your economy, and what is then the way what you can get from exports. One thing I sorry that I didn't mention in my presentation. Again, also important, but you see on one of the early markets that you see for ammonia and also methanol is also bunkering for ships. It's going quite fast. You see also like America, there is a version on methanol. Ship needs fuel everywhere in the world. So also this new bunkering market for methanol and ammonia also offers challenges for lobbying.
And maybe adding to that, sustainable aviation fuels. On the flight going off Argentina to Europe can be fueled locally with sustainable aviation fuel produced locally with the green hydrogen and CO2 from biogenic sources. So there's a lot of opportunities in really adding value locally to the hydrogen.
If I may add that, especially if you look at the domestic market, let's say Erik already gave the example of bunker fuels for ships. It's a global market that is being incentivized by, for example, the IMO, or in Europe by local legislation. So there's going to be a demand. For domestic use, you need to develop incentive programs, of course, either by subsidies or by levying carbon emissions or setting up a trading system. So that is maybe also an important lesson that we could consider, that incentive programs are really important for development of domestic market.
Totally, yeah. And also developing sort of trading market where you can use the green product, the green hydrogen, and the fuels, or the battery, or the sustainable aviation fuels, or all of them locally, but using the credits in other markets. So it's a global economy that you can either export products or export credits, and this is also another way.
Yeah, I'm confirming.
Good, and I think you want to make a question.
Yeah, it's just a very short one for you, Erik, that maybe you can share with the audience here. What can be of value for North and West Europe, a project from potential producers to be taken seriously in Europe? So you have potential here in the region. There's wind, there's solar. We know that. So, well, okay, this is nature. But what are the steps needed that projects here in the region are seriously taken in Europe?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Pablo. I think the potential that you have here is understood. We talk about wind conditions, solar conditions, but that's not only here, that's also the other location in South America, even worldwide. So on the long term, I think it's clear that you will be a big player. What I also mentioned is also clear on the short term, we try to prove or to have a knowledge also in Argentina, you can play a role in Europe. And that's, but I think it's really important that you try to get also small projects, not between pilot projects, just smaller projects. They can see from, hey, okay, to get like a short of the efforts, but also internally, let's say, to learn. Building an electrolyzer is not easy, something that you do, and easy to learn how it works. So also, industry needs to work with that. We learn it now, right? Maybe Shell, favorite company, but also the building a tool make electrolyzer, that's quite complex. And what is, let's say, the most logical place to start is where you have a location where you already have facilities, like in ports, that we have facilities that already like use ammonia. You have that here in Argentina as well, because you have already ammonia for fertilizer production. So that you can already leverage the knowledge that you have for ammonia, and also use, like say, the existing facilities. And already you have like a local trade markets, which you can already use. That the green ammonia you're going to produce. Of course, there are not financial incentives yet that you say, hey, if I produce green ammonia, I can replace the gray ammonia with the field line production. But you need financial incentives for that. There are some also in the Netherlands, European Union is working on kind of this instrument like HV Global, European Hydrogen Bank, to really push this smaller projects that can materialize early finding a way to the off-takers, and let's say close the financial gap. One important remark is that there are a lot of projects and things that I need and say, well, I have a lot of potential, I have land, I can build a big farm, and whenever I can find if I need an off-taker, then I can go my business page and go. That's not how it's going to work, because this off-take, there you don't get yet, not in coming 5 years. So, but on the other hand, the current off-takers that are in Europe and are whenever they have a project that they can guarantee that they are going to produce, the product will materialize, and you can show your proof with FID, then they're really interested in getting actually partners of take. So if you look at the main messages, really try to get already some early project, maybe only small, but they really put it off on that, that you can learn from it. And that's also including other countries. So, and I know you have here, you have fertilizer industry, you have maybe just ammonia. I think in that area, really try to come up with something that's a the early projects.
Bueno, ahora, bueno, una preguntita con respecto a metanol. Para transporte pesado, por ejemplo, ómnibus, ferrocarriles, etcétera. ¿Cómo han hecho algún estudio comparativo de utilizar el metanol como combustible o el hidrógeno verde? Estoy hablando ya más avanzado del tiempo. Seguramente que será más fácil implementar el metanol, ¿no es cierto?, como combustible, porque los costos posiblemente no en forma inmediata van a ser competitivos con respecto a un proyecto piloto se está desarrollando en Europa. Pero la pregunta concreta es, ¿los costos en el mediano plazo va a ser competitivo el metanol libre versus el hidrógeno?
The comparative analysis that you are referring to as methanol as a fuel is that it really depends on how the methanol is produced, what the price is, for example. So in the long term, if you want to produce methanol with hydrogen produced with renewable electricity, that called e-methanol. We have price prospects, as I know, yeah, but there's a difference between biomethanol and the cost of biomethanol and e-methanol and the cost of e-methanol. So that is synthetic. So for e-methanol, you're going to use the hydrogen that you produce, and then you're going to construct methanol in the process. And yeah, the prospects of price for e-methanol aren't that great. It looks still quite expensive. On the other hand, the biomethanol that can already be produced against more competitive costs. But for that, you obviously need sufficient biogenetic resources. And in terms of using it in trucks, that was your next question. I am not aware of any pilots with methanol fuel in trucks, but I am aware of using hydrogen and fuel cell to drive a truck. So you're going to use the hydrogen that you produce directly in a tank, and then you produce electricity, and that is because you need a certain let's say range, you need to achieve a certain range for driving a truck. That's 500 kilometers maybe, or but that you can already achieve with fueling pure hydrogen and using fuel cell. You want to add something?
No, yeah, actually, I have to agree. Methanol fuel comes out in the shipping industry. I'm not aware of any pilot for trucks on methanol in Europe. Trucks are mainly on electricity, and on batteries, or for the longer run on hydrogen with fuel cell.
No,
So,
sí, pero que el metanol, yo me estoy refiriendo, es un desarrollo preliminar que se está haciendo para ómnibus del área de Mendoza, viendo utilizar el motor de combustión que puede aceptar el metanol, haciéndose una escala muy pequeña, estoy hablando de media. Entonces, la idea era, en un futuro, cuando ya se puede utilizar el metanol, que se puede, cómo va a competir. Claro, una cosa es acá y otra cosa en Europa, es medio complicado, ¿no? No es fácil el tema, ¿no? A lo mejor el metanol, ya se está fabricando un metanol gris, digamos, ya existe la posibilidad de fabricarlo por otros medios, verde, carbón, pero bueno, evidentemente que en este momento habrá que esperar la cosa para costos y eso. Por llegar a $1 el kilo de hidrógeno, ustedes estiman que más o menos será para el año 2050. Falta mucho.
Bueno, otra pregunta. Funciona bien.
Bueno, buenos días. Si hay que desalinizar antes, como etapa previa a la producción de hidrógeno, ¿cuál es el impacto del costo que tiene la desalinización?
No recuerdo exactamente, pero creo que es alrededor de menos del 1%. No tengo el número, pero no pesa. Por lo menos en el estudio que nosotros encaramos frente a la generación y a la producción.
Soledad, tenemos otra pregunta del chat que dice: me gustaría saber cómo se conforma el grupo de asesores que se habló al final de la presentación de ustedes y quiénes son los expertos que participan.
Nosotros tenemos una oficina en Rotterdam, en donde se encuentran entre aproximadamente entre 5 y 10 expertos, que cada uno tiene su expertise particular. Puede ser dragado, Dan es experto en transición energética, estrategia portuaria, y después tenemos una oficina con Buenos Aires, cuyo director es Pablo, ¿tá? Y acá también somos aproximadamente 10 ingenieros trabajando en proyectos que pueden ser internacionales o locales de la región.
Bueno, otra pregunta, al español, pero viendo esta tendencia global de tratar de suministrar a Europa y una competencia general de los países en tratar de llegar primero, ¿cómo ustedes desde los Países Bajos ven a la Argentina en esa carrera? ¿Qué tan atrás, qué tan adelante? Y necesitamos estar más rápido de lo que venimos haciendo para mejorar en esa posición.
Was a very relevant question. I think if you look at the world, the ones that are moving now are the United States, countries in the Middle East, probably Australia, and Canada. And I think there are different reasons for that for each country. For example, in the United States, they are heavily subsidizing the production with the Inflation Reduction Act. for example, but there are much more subsidies to be given. In fact, our direct stories from inside that currently you get so much subsidy to produce hydrogen that you're actually receiving one for each kilogram that you produce. The Middle East is already mentioned by Erik. There are so many resources, financial resources. You see many projects already developing. There fuels also, for example, Merck, that was already mentioned. They are having important stakes in methanol production. Australia is, I don't know too much about the position of Australia, but they are moving forward and they have an important existing trade with Japan. So that's an important trade one. So I think in order to kick off the hydrogen revolution in Argentina, it's really about developing these international markets, of course, and creating an attractive environment for investors. So if you're an investor, and I just showed, and this is from the National Hydrogen Strategy, there's $90 billion to be mobilized in the next 30 years. If you were going to place your bet nowadays, and you can choose between the heavily subsidized hydrogen in the US or in Argentina, a country that is at the beginning of the journey, then you would definitely see that investors move to a country like the US. And it's of course very difficult with such high subsidies. So, but this is more or less the situation that I see it now.
Yeah, what I want to add is also in line with what I previously said, try to, on the short term, put yourself in a map by a project, maybe a smaller project. The potential you have is undisputed, but it's a favorite market of South America, but it's what people now from the other world, they look now for at Chile and Brazil. Different reasons, but maybe they'll take their marketing a bit better. But when you purely look at the circumstances, Argentina has the same potential. And notice that, as I said, there's lesson here that in Europe people are a bit skeptical about the investment situation here in Argentina. And I think, so that's why nobody expects first volumes of hydrogen to come from Argentina. So, but again, the potential is there, and also the needs you have, YPF, and so it is, proves to wrong. So hey, things are also happening in Argentina by showing the first project that can do something, can export, and then you can jointly start the discussion, the negotiation part. What you know, because all the other countries, nobody can do it without financial support in first parts. Like all the projects, also in Brazil and in Chile, they also need some financial support from the government and maybe even the World Bank or so on the first parts. And the same would then be applied for Argentina. But yeah, again, try to look to really show the world that you have some good project to offer by just getting it started.
So thanks for this. So another question there.
Hola, ¿me escuchan? Juan Belén. Bien, repito, mi nombre es Juan Belén. Sí, la pregunta está asociada a la producción del hidrógeno. Y tal vez sea un poco semántica, pero vos el hidrógeno lo podés producir, por ejemplo, tomando, o sea, obviamente podés producirlo tomando energía de la red eléctrica, pero para que sea hidrógeno verde debería estar asociado a una energía renovable. Ahora, vos podrías hacer un convenio, se estuvo hablando mucho de la problemática de la energía y de, digamos, de trasladar esta energía del punto de producción a la planta de hidrógeno. Ahora, vos podrías hacer un convenio, una planta, por ejemplo, solar, pero tomarla directamente de la red. ¿Eso se consideraría semánticamente como hidrógeno verde, digamos, tendría los beneficios o estaría especificado de esa manera. Gracias.
Visto que la voz argentina.
Okay, I think there are three important aspects to take into account when you can call a molecule of hydrogen green or renewable, and that is additionality, locality, and temporary. I don't know if you've heard about these three, but if you start producing green hydrogen, and you want to have it certified as green, and this is something that, for example, demand centers like the European Union are building their legislation around. If you're using electricity from the grid, you have a grid factor. So there's always a gray energy in the grid. And the grid factor is not a stable factor. So if you want to specifically certify your hydrogen as green, you need to add, let's say, additional green electricity production capacity to the grid. So that's one. Then the second is locality. It means that your electricity production should be near your hydrogen production. You cannot call it green hydrogen if the electricity production is on the other side of the country. Because that could eventually cause that obviously long transportation lines. That could also cause that local, let's say, not green production units have to be on standby and you start producing electricity once you are producing your hydrogen. So that could actually induce a negative or more negative grid factor. So that's the locality factor. And the other one is temporarily. That means that green hydrogen can be called green if the green energy that is produced, it should be used within 1 hour to produce hydrogen to prevent pollution of the power lines that are connected to your production system. So I think these three topics that they are really, and the whole legislation that is being constructed now in Europe revolves around these three topics, and this is what also certification is going to be about. These three pillars, and also certificates of origin. I think that is parallel, but I think this is more representative.
I have one question for Joost. Joost, are you there connected? You can unmute. Your camera very clearly. I was talking in the presentation. You talk about the import facilities. But what about the use of natural gas pipelines to transport hydrogen, and also the use of hydrogen in the natural gas network as a co-firing, as a complement to the natural gas to decarbonize partially the natural gas network.
Was this question for me?
Yeah.
Can you please again, because I cannot exactly hear the question. So it was about the pipelines, the hydrogen pipelines, but what was the question exactly?
Is the natural gas pipe, use the natural gas pipelines as transport for the hydrogen, and also the possibility to
co-fire hydrogen with natural gas or use nitrogen in natural gas networks to decarbonize partially the sector, the thermal uses.
Yeah, but in the Netherlands we have the very nice possibility to have a dedicated hydrogen pipeline, because currently we have multiple natural gas pipelines, sometimes even 5 or 6 very big pipelines next to each other. So since the demand for natural gas is declining, we can free up 1 or 2 pipes just to be repurposed for hydrogen, only hydrogen. So we won't blend hydrogen. We will have either natural gas or it will be hydrogen, and it will no blending. However, the hydrogen network is planned to also connect to future power producers. So indeed, we will not co-firing ammonia, but we might hydrogen. But it is possible that we will use dedicated hydrogen pipelines to feed to power producers. But we won't blend hydrogen with natural gas.
Erik or Dan, you want to add something to this question?
Yeah, I think the point I'm trying to is like blending part of hydrogen into the national grid. As Joost said, we're not considering that in the moment. But I know in other countries, like in Chile, they're considering that. I know they're considering doing it in Colombia. You can argue if this is, let's say, the best value for money for the hydrogen, but one very, very good reason to do that is by starting a local market. Because you have then a off-take source for your local producers, which have already more diversity of the projects. Like in general, starting a local demand for hydrogen, that's very good. You're starting off with your hydrogen exporting and using blending for that can be used of their studies and look at what maybe up to 10-20%. And in that way, you can start with the local demand hydrogen. That's I have no idea how the discussion about it in Argentina, but local countries will start considering doing this, and technically it is feasible. Yeah.
Tenemos otra pregunta de Erik. Una pregunta.
Sí.
Muchas gracias por la presentación. Mi nombre es Erik Gascón. Soy parte del equipo de ingeniería de otra compañía de los Países Bajos que confía en ingeniería argentina. Mi primera pregunta es para Soledad. Quisiera consultarte si los números de los costos del flete del 5 al 8% fueron tomados en base a la utilización de combustibles fósiles de origen fósiles como combustible o no. Y la segunda pregunta es, nuestros principales clientes son ship owners y sus principales dudas son si va a ser posible cumplir con las metas de descarbonización al 2030 y al 2050, sabiendo que los precios objetivos del hidrógeno duplican o hasta triplican los costos de los combustibles fósiles. Muchas gracias.
Buenos días. Respecto a la primera pregunta, me preguntaba los costos de transporte marítimo, ¿no? No, el estudio que hicimos fue sobre combustibles fósiles, para lo que dijimos no consideramos ningún tipo de fuels o no hidrógeno para el transporte. Esta es la segunda pregunta. A ver, el estudio que nosotros hicimos obviamente está basado en muchos estudios teóricos y parte de lo que ya conocemos de lo que son las tarifas actuales. Si me preguntas si lo vamos a alcanzar o no, va a depender un poco también desde el punto de vista de Argentina, en mi opinión, de cómo, o sea, de esta estrategia que se plantea, bueno, hasta qué punto se va realmente a subsidiar a compañías que tengan ganas de aportar en Argentina para poder alcanzar estas metas. O sea, por sí sola, como Erik mencionaba, es muy difícil que un inversor extranjero venga a apostar a Argentina cuando no se dan las condiciones necesarias para que. Creo que tenemos el expertise porque hay muchísimas compañías que tienen el expertise en lo que es la industria de oil and gas, que nos da una ventaja. Por otro lado, hay empresas que ya están haciendo proyectos pilotos, que en la Comodoro de Rivadavia viene haciendo hidrógeno verde hace más de 10 años, con lo cual hay iniciativas que me parece que no son menores, pero bueno, necesitamos empezar a escalarlo muchísimo más para poder llegar a 2050. Pero es una opinión personal.
Pues tomamos una pregunta más y luego cerramos.
Bueno, con respecto a la certificación del hidrógeno que se está haciendo en Europa, la pregunta es aproximadamente si qué valores de factor de planta se aceptarían para un parque eólico, para mirar si es que es una de las pautas que establecen para la producción del hidrógeno, ¿cierto? El hidrógeno verde. Por ejemplo, si yo digo que tengo un 70%, de eficiencia mayor, ¿cierto? ¿Está arreglado eso? ¿Está arreglado? Digo, ¿está en gestión la certificación de Europa respecto a todos uno de los puntos que hay?
So, capacity factors, it was translated as a plant factor, but I think it's capacity factor. Let me first start by saying if you achieve a capacity factor of 70%, then you're very welcome. I am not aware that capacity factors are going to play a role in the certification. Well, Erik is agreeing with that, they are not. But again, if there were, then even 70%, that is one of the highest capacity factors that I've heard. So I think that is not the main issue around certification. Again, but I just explained to the gentleman there, I think that is more important. And also, certificates of origin, because the molecules itself don't have a color. You need to give them a color to prove what how it is produced. But the molecules need to be certified. You need to know where they come from. And so I think these are more important aspects of certification than capacity factor.
Maybe one addition to that, and indeed it's the issues that we mentioned earlier. It's also that based on certain markets that you're going to use it for. Let's say for fuel, using the fuel, for instance, that is the very fuels as stated earlier. For other markets, like using the steel industry or cement industry, for instance, it's not that strict, but on the other hand, when you have a concept called CBAM, then you always need to be aware what the CO2 footprint is of your hydrogen. And for the one that still has a higher CO2, you start paying taxes for it. So that's always take it into account. So long you cannot connect to the grids. If you do, you're limited to exporting, but then in any case, you have to, once you start exporting it, you always have to pay for the CO2 footprint of your products, zoals deze hydrogen.
Muy bien, les agradezco especialmente a quienes nos han acompañado, Erik, Dan, Soledad, Joost, también a todos los que han estado aquí presentes y a los que nos acompañan online. Saben, este evento queda, como otros, en el canal del CAI, especialmente la Embajada de los Países Bajos de Buenos Aires. Thank you very much, all of you. Yeah, it's nice. You're very useful. Exchange ideas, so we can really appreciate the really big potential that Argentina could collaborate with for the next few years, and also the possibility of working together at a global scale. So thank you so much to all of you here. Also, this is going to be available in our channel in YouTube, and also to the Embassy of the Netherlands in Buenos Aires. This is a closing event. Thank you so much.